Welcome to the Fantasy Golf Bag live stream. Whoa, Jacob. Coughing already.
What? Oh, no. Clear
Welcome to the Fantasy Golf Bag live stream. I'm your host, Red Kachik, joined today by Mr. JK Ray, ASU. You guys haven't seen him or heard from him. We had some new people joining the Fantasy Golf Bag this week. So it's nice to have a friendly face for the live stream each week. Jacob, how's it going, man?
It's going good. I'm glad to still be around. I'm really excited about where we're heading, and still glad to be joining you on Wednesday nights and toss around some more ideas before lock tomorrow, and hopefully have a good week.
Yeah, same here. I just actually put in some Euro ones just to have a little bit of fun while we wait for the Players Championship. It should be great. Which intro slide? Oh, the intro slide. That's a man. This guy's staying on top of it. Let's hit that.
I always forget.
I do. I'm your host, Red Kachik. There's a little short bio, and of course, JK Ray, ASU. Man, Digo 85. He's got it. He's got it for us today. Orange Man's in the house. He's gonna get blocked probably. All right, guys, let's go ahead and jump into some agenda. I got a few things to cover. We got some weather topics I think Jacob's gonna talk about. So we'll hop over to the agenda real quick for anyone new. Alrighty, guys. So same old. We're going to talk about the podcast briefly. This is actually going to be a different dynamic because Jacob wasn't on the podcast, so maybe he has some thoughts to throw our way to maybe briefly argue some points, or perhaps give us kudos on a great job. I mean, we take any of that. Talk about some FGB line movement. Obviously, I got some changes as I look through the pool since Monday night, and obviously with the two new partners at the Fantasy Golf Bag, we were able to talk a little bit further after the show. So I'll talk through some of those guys. Of course, weather, projected ownership, and we'll do a couple giveaways again at the end of the show.
Nice.
Yes, sir. So before we kind of get into all of that, let's go ahead and talk about our new partners real quick. Jacob?
All right.
If you guys haven't heard, not Fantasy Gurus, I always say that, Golf Gurus, I think he's Golf Savages 2 on Twitter, Skylar, as well as Fantasy Jesus, goes by Axis. Both joined the Fantasy Golf Bag this week, and we'll be providing all their stats, their rolling stats. It's available free at thefantasygolfbag.com, and as well as an article by Axis and some other content analysis that they're throwing in Slack each day, which is awesome. And of course, Axis will be joining me on the podcast. So I want to give them a quick shout out. They'll probably make stops on the live stream from time to time, but currently right now we are strictly sticking to Axis podcast, Jacob live stream, and then we kind of mix and match as the weeks progress.
Sounds good.
All right, man. Let's see here. Let's talk about some podcast notes. Obviously, I think we had a decent discussion as far as line of construction with guys up top that aren't necessarily must plays. There's some changes in weather, which I know Giant Beard dropped a question in our Slack before we came on, so we'll discuss that as well. What didn't show up on the stream? Oh, your donation?
Just
I did
donation.
see that. Yeah, I saw it. I don't know why it didn't show up, man. Thanks, Mike, for the donation. Only 150 more bucks to go. But yeah, we'll talk about that. Jacob, we'll just kick it off to you. I'm rambling about our new partners. I'm rambling about the podcast. So give me your thoughts kind of on what we talked about, line of construction off of the not necessarily 10K and up, but just like the more expensive guys aren't necessarily like the class of this field. I mean, this field, I think of all the guys in the field, every single player is in the top 500 in the world. And of the top 50, every single player in the top 50 in the world is here. So I really don't think that paying the top price for the most expensive guys is a must in this type of event.
No, I completely agree. You know me, I'm always a big fan of fading the top, and especially in tournaments like this where really the differentiation between players, between talent levels, like you said, we've got X amount of the top 50. It's either all 50 of the top 50 or close to it.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of really quality golfers, and the pricing is just so soft. It's like Masters level major pricing. Maybe honestly, when I first saw it, I thought it was even softer than major pricing. It's a little ridiculous. But all that being said, you don't have to go up top, and you can still feel very, very comfortable with your lineups. What did it say?
Front running GPP win this week. What does that even mean?
I don't know. Does that mean Verone's going to win one, or
I'm thinking he's already calling it. Yeah.
Interesting.
I don't have any problems with that.
But for me personally, I will be fading the top and starting with the likes of Brooks, who I'm very, very high on this week. I think that was certainly echoed by Axis and Skylar on the pod on Monday. So I'm very much on board with that. And, if I were to jump up there in that top range, honestly, I might play a little Tiger. I don't mind. Tiger, I think that he's going to be less owned than what most people normally hype him up to be. But that would only be in the case, let's say normally I do one lineup. If I did three, I might put him in one. But the other two, and on my primary, I will be starting most likely with Brooks. But, just like you said, the quality of golfer really from the top to about 8K, you're honestly splitting hairs between all those players. So as far as lineup construction goes, anything's on the table. There's so much value down in the 6K and low 7K range that you could pretty much make whatever you want. And me, I'm sort of going with a little bit more balanced for my main line. I will have one stars and scrubs. Have the man rocket in one, old Beauregard. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
It's the way the pricing kind of shakes out. Like it always turns out that the more expensive guys are really not priced softly. Like there's really no soft pricing on the top guys. It's really when you hit like the 9K, literally, maybe we'll say like the 8K price tag all the way up to 10K, all those guys probably could be priced in the 9K range. But obviously with DraftKings pricing, you can't have, 16 or 22 guys or however many there is in the 9K range.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really where it starts to get soft. So it makes it very tempting to stack up on those mid-tier guys, which is not a bad strategy. But I think dipping down further in the 6K and take advantage of the soft pricing, not necessarily allows you to pay up, but it gives you some little bit of creativity. Like I was joking about starting a build with Sungjae, and absolutely I'm not starting a build with Sungjae, but I'm definitely ending like my third, we'll say my fourth guy with Sungjae, and I can go down below that and still get a decent player, and it allows me a lot of salary to somewhat go contrarian by playing two guys up near 10K, which I think most people will tend to fall in the mid tier just because you can play guys like Moley, Fleetwood, Paul Casey, and Poulter, Kuchar. Like you could literally build an 8K lineup and you probably finish well in GPPs, but trying to go a little bit different and use the pricing to your advantage. That's some of my GPPs. I'm certainly doing that. I was actually talking to Notorious Derek Farnsworth from Roto Grinders early today because he's notoriously, pardon the pun, I didn't mean to do that.
Sure.
It just happens, man. It's show business. No, he primarily plays cash. He'll play like two cash lineups, and then he'll put those into like single entry GPPs, and then he'll play like three GPP pivot type of lineups. He rarely ever max enters, and today he told me he's going to max enter because of the way the pricing is. So, I mean, that's something we talked about on the podcast is, maybe building out some more lineups to take advantage of the different players you can really build around. So that's something I'm considering with with some of the GBPs, the secondary GBPs opening up. I mean, the $10 at 134,000 entrants, like I threw a few in there, but I'm not going to attempt to max enter that. Even the second one was like 39,000 people. It's crazy. So,
and it was still 33% to first.
Yeah.
Terrible.
I think like 100th place was like $200 or something like that. It's crazy, man.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I mean, we can go and get into some players. If you want to hit on the weather, we can go touch on that and then jump back and talk about some names that you're really focusing on throughout.
Okay.
I know there's a couple down low that I've really, not really changed my tune, but really kind of honed in on, so I can bring those guys up. But we'll hit on the weather first. I think people have talked about it. And then I'll talk about the course conditions after the weather segment, because I know Giant Beer is curious, and I'm sure other people are kind of curious why the course is slated to play differently than prior years.
Okay.
So I'll pull up the weather report.
So as far as the weather goes, and I've kind of kept an eye on it since Monday. It has really fluctuated every day. The most recent that I looked at it was about 30 minutes ago. So, and it appears that there is not really a lot of opportunity for edge between AM, PM stacks and vice versa. It looks like tomorrow morning, within like the first hour. So what's first tee time? Is it 7 or 7:40?
I don't have it up. Keep talking. I'll pull it up for just a second.
So you guys can see there 7 to 8 a.m. You've got, around 5 miles an hour. Possibility though of gusts to be, 12 to 15, but sustained really isn't that bad. And it doesn't get that bad throughout the majority of the day. You see them kind of max out around 12-ish. But for the most part, they're between 7 and 10 for the entirety of the day. Gusts can get up there to 18, but it's not like drastic differences. And then if you look down at Friday, I mean, you're looking at a pristine day pretty much all the way through. It maxes out at 5 and, fluctuates from basically no wind to 5 miles an hour, which is essentially nothing, the entire day, all the way through. So, certainly we try and look at weather. We try and see if there's an edge to be had. And, certain times there are, certain times there aren't. I think this is one of those that where you probably just be best off, especially if you're doing just a few lineups, maybe a single or 3 or 5. I would just stick with your player pool, optimize your lineups. If you're, 40 plus lineups, then by all means you can
Throw a few stacks together.
And who knows, it might change tomorrow morning right before. I mean, we really can't tell, but we can make educated guesses, and based on what we're seeing so far, I don't think that there's a huge edge to AM or PM stacks.
Yeah, it was definitely looking different. It was definitely looking different Monday night. We talked about the winds picking up. I mean, there was even Monday night when I recorded with Axis and Skylar, the wind was supposed to like gust up to like 18 and steady around 8 to 10, maybe getting up to like 15 in the afternoon, but that was it. And then like Tuesday morning, I checked it and it was gusting up to 27 or 25. And now it's obviously calmed down quite a bit. So I think there's always, whether or not it's totally correlated, I guess if the wind changes what it's scheduled to do, there's always correlation after the fact. But I think there's always, if you're building a ton of lineups, I wouldn't say you should do it, but there's really never a fault in stacking AM, PM, or PM, AM just for that correlation if the wind changes, especially at Sawgrass because it is on the coast. If the wind does pick up in the afternoon, the course will play incredibly difficult. So getting that advantage, just try to take advantage of it if it happens with enough lineups. If you're only playing a few, though, again, I personally wouldn't go stacking. If I had 3 lineups and a 3 max, I wouldn't go try to stack 1 or 2 of them just for the sake of that. If it turns out that's the case, like those are the guys I like, then so be it. And I did check the tee times. It's 7:40.
7:40.
7:40 is the first tee time.
Okay. Yeah, so then you're really only gaining an hour or maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours. Actually, not even that. Less than 2 hours of potential edge period of time.
Yeah, it goes, just say 7:40. Last tee time, 9:35. The first tee time in the afternoon is 12:35. So, yeah, they'll get about 9 holes in the last couple of groups before the later groups start teeing off. So, a little bit, 2.5 hours.
Yeah, so nothing huge, but certainly won't fault you if you're doing a lot to take it into consideration.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's 2 other things I want to talk on. First off, kudos to me for talking about the draw fade thing. I was watching Golf Channel earlier today, and Brandon Chambly, which I'm not a huge fan of, but he is fairly smart. And he can be. He's mostly an idiot. He picks the wrong battles. So he was talking about, and for those who don't know, he's an analyst on the Golf Channel, but and he critiqued Tiger forever and basically said Tiger sucks and probably should give up golf, and look what happened. So he was basically talking about DJ and his struggles with this golf course versus guys that hit a draw and have played really well, because the golf course does have a lot of dogleg lefts. And like I said on the podcast Monday, you try not to put too much attention into shot shape because, like, especially with irons, guys can shape it both ways. But the tee shots are very, very difficult. If like DJ, Mike, $25. Wow, we should do this all 24 hours for $25 an hour. Mike says hashtag make Jacob small box again.
Oh, come on!
Please don't.
Is that how you feel? Is that how you feel about me?
That's fine. Keep throwing $25. We'll see what we can mess with your internet. But so back to the point, the course is going to play softer. So like my whole idea was the guys up top that have struggled versus guys that have played well. So we'll just use DJ versus JT as an example. Arguably both are very, very similar levels of golfer skill wise. But JT has had much more success here than DJ, even with similar form coming in. Yeah, X is going to be fine off the tee. Orange man, play X. But like the fade draw thing is a big deal. Like you look at you go to there's two more holes on the front 9 where trees literally line the fairway. And if you can't start it down your target line, down the fairway and draw it, or at least hit it straight. If you have to start it left of the tee box, there's trees blocking you. So you immediately get blocked out to the right. So I'd be willing to bet a lot of guys will hit 3-wood on number 2, which is a par 5. just because it takes right side out of play, especially if they hit a fade. I've seen that time and time again. Now, granted, this golf course is playing much softer than it has in prior years due to the ryegrass overseed, different time of year. So I'm kind of curious. I mean, it was playing super soft. I was watching practice round footage today, and it was, I mean, guys are spinning wedges back like 20 feet. So I can see the scoring getting better, but the trick there is what Brandel brought up was the guys that hit a fade can basically hit it into a dogleg, and they're not going to get 30 yards of roll out into the rough. And even the rough was down, so like that's not a big concern. But essentially, the softer fairways should allow for like the longer hitters to take advantage. So like a DJ, Rahm already kind of hits a draw. I think he hit a fade as well. He's pretty straight actually. But like Justin Rose hits a fade, he should be fine. Tiger's been hitting a fade, he should be fine. So he made a good point on the longer hitters definitely having an advantage this week. And as much as these holes are less than driver, as many holes are less than driver, I still think we could see a longer hitter take advantage of these holes being in softer conditions. They don't have to worry about that rollout. So I did want to bring that up because that certainly changed from my perspective on Monday, where I could see a guy, like I already like Brooks, and I like JT and like Xander, but I could go back to a DJ now in this type of conditions if you wanted to pay up, which I probably still won't. Any thoughts on that? What do you like? What are you shaking your head about?
Chat, Orange Man being ridiculous. Anyways,
all right, back to the topic. So
yeah,
talking through some guys that we talked about on the podcast. So I assume you listened to it. If not, what an awful friend. But kind of going to the bottom range, I the two names that I threw out in the low end that I wanted to kind of talk about again, Vegas and Mullinax. In my builds that I've made, I really haven't had to use them at 6K and what's Vegas at? 62, I think, 61. So just wanted to bring that up. Like in a normal field, I think they would have been superb values, but the way this field is shaped up and like my lineup construction has gone, I haven't needed to drop down below 6,500. So I've actually stopped at a couple lineups with both Sungjae and Ben On. And I like those builds quite a bit. But yeah, I really haven't, unless I decide to go crazy with some GPPs later tonight and whatever ones they have open now for the third line of these things. Like they have the $10, now the third one. I may just try to force in a few of those guys and see if I can get like 3 guys over 9K.
Yeah.
Get a little weird, man.
Okay. It's all right to get weird. For my main, I'm actually not dipping into the 6K at all. Feel very comfortable with what I've got right now. But for my second one, like you, I'm ending up in kind of that range. Really around Sungjae M, Ben On. I'm interested in Russell Knox a little bit. He's one name that I was going to bring up this evening, sort of pick your brain on a little bit. I will not be playing Kokrak. I think similar to Axis, that is just, I think we may have already seen his peak.
Who's that?
Kokrak.
Yeah.
I do like some Matt Wallace. I thought he, a lot of people are like, oh, wow, who's this Matt Wallace? But, guys like Axis and Skylar, of course, are very familiar with him. Guys that play Euro are very familiar with him. He's not this guy that just popped one tournament. Absolutely. I think he won 3 times last year on the Euro Tour. 6,700 for Matt Wallace is, he's going to probably be 5 to 7%, and I see that as not a terrible play. And then Kevin Na down there at 67 as well is a guy that I feel like this could be, originally I felt like this could be a course where Na comes up and is a little bit sneaky, but now that we're talking about it being softer and longer hitters might have a slight advantage.
No, I'm not saying that a shorter hitter can't do well, but I'm saying like those longer hitters could have a better chance of playing well with softer conditions. Like Kevin Na has played well here in the past. So I certainly wouldn't X out a guy for being a little bit shorter than the next guy. Like they're not hitting drivers on every hole.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I was about to echo your sentiments on Kevin Na. Like, I don't have him in my pool right now, but like for GPPs, I really like that. I mean, he's had upside here many, many times. He was leading like a couple years ago, and then he got the driver yips. But yeah, I wouldn't shy away from a shorter guy. That's definitely not what I was meaning by the longer hitters having an advantage.
And so by me not being on the pod anymore, I don't get to hot take my Kevin Kisner picks early in the week. I get to save them. I build up the anticipation so I can announce it live that
you're playing Kevin Kisner
on some Kiz again this week. Don't have that tone. You he I mean, he fell off. He struggled on Sunday, but the way his putter was rolling and strolling right along the first 3 rounds, that's the Kisner that can be really exciting to watch. Also can be frustrating to try and peg which week you're going to get him.
Yeah.
He, lost here a couple of years ago in a playoff. Got a little history here, coming in with some decent form. I think Kisner is a very, very solid play there at even 7K.
One guy, or two in the 8K that I want to talk about. I haven't really listened to a lot of other shows or podcasts, but one that was like I think he's on your Kevin Kisner type of list, but Webb Simpson is right there with Tony Finau, and I haven't heard much on Tony Finau, and I wasn't really planning to play Webb after what he did last year. I still think he could play well here, but 8,500 I can go other places like Molinari right above him. I'm fine going back to the well and Molly, but like Finau right there, what's your take on him? Because he's we haven't looked at ownership yet, but dude, I haven't heard him from anybody. Like, I haven't heard questions about him. I've heard questions about Sam Ryder, but I haven't heard questions about Tony Finau.
I think that his price and who's around him is contributing to that. And, we know he's going to probably be like 7% or something. Tony Finau normally who's 20% or, 18 to 22 or something crazy like that. And you're going to get, at that price, he doesn't have to win, which, everybody tries to knock him for not being a winner. At that price, give me a top 5, and I'll take some Tony Finau at 7%.
Okay. And then I had a couple other thoughts down in the mid to high 7K range. There's a couple guys there that are getting not necessarily talked up, but certainly ownership's gravitating that direction. One of those is Paul Casey. He's 7,900, just below Matt Kuchar, which it's really tough for me. I have lineups I'm playing both of them in actually, but Paul Casey is supposedly coming in at like 20%. I'm not afraid of that, man. It's certainly like in the $10. Just because it's so big, you probably got to get a little bit different. I probably would fade him in the $10, but like all my normal like single entry and 3-max stuff, I'm going to play some Paul Casey and I'm going to play Matt Kuchar. And I think Matt Kuchar was getting close to that 16, 18 range too. So I don't know if you had thoughts on them, but like there's other decent names through there. Like Stinson, I'm definitely playing. We were talking about that in Slack. People think his form just popped back last week, and he was playing good in Euro. He just came over here and just wasn't making a ton of putts and started hitting the ball a little bit worse than what he was. But like his fall stretch over in Euro Tour, man, I don't think besides Sergio anybody was rating out better in strokes gained ball striking. So Henrik Stinson's still on the list.
What did you say that Casey's ownership was?
I heard he was at 20.
20. But
I can look.
I thought he was like 12 early in the week. Has he jumped up that much?
He may have. I'll look.
No, I like a lot of guys in that range. Stinson, obviously, we've talked about up until today. Okay. I like Kuchar. I think that he's sort of coming back into the Kuchar that we all know and remember with just steady Eddie, but upside, right? 2 wins already in the last 6 months, and really sustained long-term good course history here. And I know it's hard to. There's been a lot of caution about course history this year because of the courses change, the conditions vary so often, the switch back to March as opposed to May. So for me, course history, I'm looking more of a big picture, and then tying that in with recent form. And Kuchar checks the boxes, obviously. And I might go back to the well on Poulter this week. Hopefully he's not 31% again, because that was a little ridiculous last week.
He's gonna be up there again, I have to imagine. I'll be playing him again. I mean, he's been playing really good for a while too. He's kind of in that Kokrak category where I like Poulter a bit more than Kokrak. I think he's a better class of player, but like the numbers you see from Kokrak can't be lasting through the summer. So it's either you're gonna like this week is a really bad week for his price because you have such soft pricing in the 8K range that no one needs a value. Like you don't need to go down there. That's why I'm really forcing myself to jump down to a Sungjae because I think Sungjae should be in the mid 7s. Even with the guys around him, that's irrelevant. But I'm just talking about from his form coming to this golf course, that's how strongly I feel about him. And same with Ben On, he should be a little bit higher. But people are building and they don't need to jump down there. So like Nick was talking about with ownership in the models, they're basically saying like they're finding the guys that have the best or have the ownership in prior events, seeing where they're priced at and who can fit. And now these guys in the 6K are just in models are getting no projected ownership. So I think we were looking at Kokrak yesterday and he was at like 7% or something like that, which I can kind of see in this field. But it's still, you wish he was like 73 where people go down there and think they're getting a good deal. Like in a normal, we'll say this was Valspar next week and he was 73. People would flock to Jason Kokrak. And I feel like this is maybe his sputtering spot. And now, we're going to miss the strategic fade for him, which kind of stinks. But we'll see what happens. He's been playing great. I just don't think it can continue much longer. And it stinks that in this pricing for this field, he's not going to get the ownership where you could really take advantage of a fade. It sucks.
Oh, you were referring to Poulter here?
No. Kokrak.
Kokrak, okay. Yeah. I think, I like Poulter too. I know that you talked about Woody just a little bit in Slack earlier today, but I saw it mentioned in chat a bit above. Why don't you give us your Woodland take?
It's changed a little bit. I think enough guys have convinced me otherwise, even not to give out plays or anything like that. At least good plays. You'd have my plays. Notorious. Bless you.
Thank you.
Go on mute next time. Okay. Notorious was talking about Woodland because we had a heated discussion in our Slack about Woodland at that price. And Mike says, God bless you.
Thank you.
And he was basically like, you have any hot takes? And I was like, well, honestly, I think someone under 8K is going to win this event. It seems to be anybody has a chance in this type of event. No one really has positive course history. It's very sporadic. And we have a sheet on Fantasy Golf Bag that came from the Fantasy Jesus website and Golf Gurus that show their weighted course history against their baseline. And no one has good course history here. So that being said, I think under 8K has a really good chance of winning when normal events with the strong field doesn't. So to him, I said, what do you think about Woodland? He's 7,500. What are you going to do with Woodland? Seems like a really tough decision. And basically he said, had a complete 180 early in the week. He was just going to avoid him. But now he doesn't see ownership really flocking to him. His form has never been as good as it is right now. So I don't know if I hopefully Noto wrote him up. I'm not like giving away secrets, but so I am going to play Woodland. I changed my tune from what I felt like earlier today, especially with seeing the golf course as soft as it is. I think Woodland has a fair chance. And again, he's never played as well. The argument we had in Slack was about his record in the state of Florida, which I didn't dig into further. But yeah, I don't want to harp on Woodland too much longer. But yeah, I think Jacob, you got $5 coming to you. Mike sent you some money for Kleenex.
Oh, thanks, Mike. I just ran out. Coincidence.
Yeah, look at horse player. DJ Woody Man Rocket stacks. I love it. I hope Man Rocket does well. But
Saucy.
That's my take on Woodland. I'm gonna play him. It's originally I was gonna fade him, but I liked hearing the way the course is set up as far as the conditions. I like hearing Noto kind of back up the recent form for him coming here. So a lot of things are going. Mm-hmm. And then we had Paul in chat talking about him as well. So too many good names tossing around Woodland. I'm gonna bite on some Woodland this week. Let
me get one more guy that I saw in chat a little bit up. A couple people mentioned back to back. What do you think of Chill there at 7,300?
Oh yeah, plain Chill.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, it's a recent form thing. He really, I don't think his form here is great, if I recall. Like last year's his first decent finish. Before that, it was really bad. But yeah, I'm not concerned with Charles Howell. He's got the same good form coming in that I'm fine taking a shot on. Yeah. It's guys like Mickelson I'm not really biting on. So if you guys want to be contrarian and you take a shot on Mickelson, I don't think I'm going to check his ownership real quick, and then we can kind of transition to ownership stuff. But
okay,
ownership and pivots. But Mickelson's got to be coming in low, man.
Yeah, I feel like this is that classic week where nobody talks about Mickelson because he's in the same range as guys like DeChambeau and Day that apparently is going to be chalky, which makes a ton of sense with the torn back.
What are you doing with Day? Let's talk about that.
I love me some Day, right?
Well, I do too. Yeah.
Always chat him up, always write him up.
Absolutely.
But
I'm not playing.
I'm not playing him. I'm not playing him this week.
Him either.
I've got 3 lineups. He's not in any of them. So
this whole story is bizarre. Like I get it that he got a cortisone shot in his back, and his nerve is calming down, or the tear against the nerve is calming down. But 20%. I can't go overweight. Like I don't feel comfortable going overweight. Like double the
20% is insane. It's like this reverse.
If he was healthy, I totally get it, and I would probably go double the field. But after last week, and not to be scared off of little injuries, but a back injury where you actually had to withdraw and all the crap that went around it, in this type of field, man, there's too many good pivots. I'm not going to waste any lineups on Jason Day. Now, if he was like coming in at 6 or something, that's totally different. I would be all over that. But 20 is just the amount of lineups that I need to make to go overweight there and have some leverage. To me, I would rather go underweight the 20% and be at 0. So that's how I approach that type of situation, which doesn't happen much. I'm just saying.
Yeah, no, I'm a day truther as much as it, as long as it comes along. Like I will play day week after week after week, but there's just that injury. I don't think is something that you get a shot and even articles today, the verbiage used in those articles is he feels like he might be okay to give it a go. Like all these terms that they're using to describe how he feels are not things that give me confidence in playing him, especially at 20%. So, yeah, that's a very easy no for me on day.
Yeah. It's so confusing replying with text or in the chat and then having to talk.
You got to up your game, man. Multitasking. Let's go.
Well, I can. And I'm trying to read. What do you...
He'll be more than 12, Nick.
No. I said he'll be under 12 in high dollar stuff for sure.
You think so?
Absolutely. But like the $5, I could see guys throwing them in there. Or $10, I mean. So it just depends. Like, and a shout out again, like on Thursdays, we're doing the ownership recap show. As soon as the PGA Tour Live goes live, you can find us again on Twitch on this channel, and we'll talk through the ownerships and the differences between normally the $5, but this week $10, up to the $1,500. And you can see where guys really diverge. Like last week, it was unfortunately I think it was Jason Day, but up top it was Rory in the 1500 was like 37% owned, but in the $5 he was like 22 or 18 or something like that. So like you can see the difference in like the sharper, higher dollar stuff versus the $5 and $10 stuff. So highly encourage you to check that tomorrow morning when the Players Championship goes live. We'll be watching some footage and talking through how the ownership's spread out and like look at lineup construction stuff, trying to get an idea of, you know, if you can learn something from the guys playing the higher dollar stuff, because those are the ones that are building by hand, not necessarily just throwing in an optimizer.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to stay caught up on chat, and then we'll transition to some ownership stuff. Again, real quick before we transition, still trying to figure out how to go through the next segment with Fanshare. So Fanshare relaunched their new website, and you can use the code TRENDING to get 30% off their monthly subscription. I heard a lot of people in the industry talking them up this week. It's a really good product, and they actually revamped it really nice. So I encourage you, if you haven't already, go to fansharesports.com, and you can get a monthly sub for 30% off using TRENDING as a promo code. So any final thoughts as far as players, if you see anything in chat real quick, and then we can kind of transition?
Papa Wolf asked about Leishman, hearing about him in the industry, but not so much within the bagger community. And then, is it okay to play Kuchar and Casey in the same lineup?
Yeah. I'm already doing that. I know that it takes a chunk of ownership, but
you can differentiate elsewhere.
Yeah, and honestly, it'd be interesting to see. I mean, guys could be building that way. I'm not sure how lineup optimizers spit out. I need to look into that more. It's like running optimizers just to see who's coming out the highest in all those, to know where like the public's going. Then you can see what, like, oh yeah, Ian Poulter, like earlier today, I think I ran one. Ian Poulter was like at 100%. So just gives you an idea that if the like last week with Poulter being 39 or 36%, that's probably why.
Yeah.
So just kind of keep that in mind. Okay, we can, if you don't have any other questions, we can hop into some ownership. Let's see it. I'm working manually. Had the old button thing break, so if H3 Boot is in the chat, you throw, you know, another $2,500. Let's find this thing. All right. Lay it on me, man, if you see any questions on that. If anyone in chat has questions on anything.
Justin Rose. Any love for Justin Rose?
He's not in any of my builds right now. And I heard he's coming. I heard he's a little under-owned, to be honest. Or he's projected low ownership right now, right?
Yeah.
Let's see. Yeah, Rose. It says 12, but yeah. So if you guys want to drop
for him,
some
that's
names
low.
in, yeah,
for him, that's low.
Especially guys that are like you expect to be higher owned and maybe pivots. Like, you know, if you throw out Sam Ryder, and I tell you he's 2 or 4%, like I don't know if that's really helpful. He's probably not going to be, you know, 12, 15%, but you get a guy like we talked about, Casey, perhaps that's a pivot. Or Xander. I heard Xander will be popular. So those are some good ones. Someone named Fleetwood. That's an interesting name, Fleetwood. I wonder if he's in the field this week.
Yeah. After Fleetwood, let's see what X is too. Now that you mention him.
Yep, I see Fleetwood at 18%. X at 18 as well, just under 17.5.
Okay.
Any others in here?
Let's see.
Hideki, I see. Yeah, no WDs for sure.
Bryson.
Do what?
Bryson, after you do Hideki. DeChambeau.
Hideki at 16. Bryson, ooh.
What's he at, like 8?
Lower.
6.
Close. 6.8. 6.8 Bryson. You going to play some Bryson Ferreter? Mr. Christopher Ferreter?
Let's see. We got Sergio M.
Yeah,
and Webb Simpson.
I can go right off the bat here. Sergio, wow. I see Sergio at. Hang on. Shoot, I suck. I suck at typing. Yeah, I see Sergio at 20. Adam Scott. I'm trying to pull it up on both now that I got. I mean, he was chipping in at the Genesis, talking about Bryson short game. Adam at 9. Adam Scott at 9.13. I like Adam quite a bit. He's in that range around Kuchar. So
yeah, he's not really getting chatted up that much.
No, and he's the one of the few,
former winner here too.
He is, but like just eyeballing it, he's one of the very few that actually have good history. And again, like Axis has his sheet up, but it doesn't, like, to your baseline, maybe not as great on this golf course, but as far as finishes go, Adam Scott is the guy for course history. If I had to pick anyone out of here, that's him.
Mm-hmm. Sustained course history. I mean,
yeah. I mean, guys have popped with like Stinson. He has won here, top 5. But yeah, obviously Tiger's got good course history, but that's so far back. I'm not weighing that at all. Mm-hmm. Rom talked about it all. Yeah, we talked about him on Monday. We both actually. I think Axis brought him up. Fantasy Jesus brought him up, and then I echoed my sentiments. I like Rom a ton. He lost 6 strokes here putting last year. Ball striking is still great. He trended down, I think, a little bit at the Mexico event, but again, you're in elevation. It's a weird course. Like, DJ has it figured out, but some of those other guys struggle. So I like Rom a ton this week.
Yep.
I don't know how many putters he's using.
Let's see. Webb. It's Webb's ownership.
Rom, I think Jay Blay was asking about Rom, 12%. And who are you saying?
Webb.
Mm-hmm. 10. I'm not high on Webb this week, man. I don't care.
I don't fault you.
He gained like 9 strokes last year. Granted, he's still a good, consistent ball striker, but in this golf course, again, it was why we talk about, and I'm sure other shows have talked about it with course, there's really not a course fit because guys have done well here in so many different aspects. Like, they've gained strokes off the tee, but lost strokes on approach, gained around the green, and they've played well. They've lost strokes off the tee, gained strokes on approach, lost strokes putting, and finished top 5. Lost strokes everywhere, gained strokes putting, and finished top 10. Like, there's just so many different ways. There's really no simple way to play this golf course. You could play it like literally 7 different ways on every hole.
What's Brooks's ownership? I don't think we mentioned him yet.
Brooks. 8. I like Brooks.
Brooks at 8%. Just
now, granted, he hasn't played well here until that final round last year. So I wouldn't get crazy on him, but I do like him, and he's at a low ownership I like quite a bit. That's part of the reason. No, Jay, I'm not sure if you missed it. Earlier I was talking about some of the lower-end guys like Vegas and Molinax, and I think they're fine, but I haven't had a need to play them. None of my lineups have gone down below 6,500, so they're just – I don't have enough win equity out of those guys to force them into anything. So no need for me.
Can't lay.
Any comments on Tiger's putting coach? Did he get a new putting coach? He's really never had a putting coach.
Somebody said he's got one with him this week.
Who is it?
Not sure.
If it's
JT's putting coach.
JT's putting coach.
Matt Killen.
Matt Killen? Matt Killen is JB Holmes' swing coach.
He's also, I do remember reading that his putting coach was the same as JB's swing coach. So,
okay, well,
he's dipping his feet all over the place there, huh?
Yeah, I've never really been a fan. I mean, Matt Killen's a nice guy, but as far as him being a swing coach, like, he helped with, I'm pretty sure it's JB. JB's got a quirky swing already, so it's not like I think JB's got enough talent. Anyone could really coach him into, tweaking this a little bit and hitting it well. But like the guys that have really revamped Tiger's swing, like you talk about Butch Harmon and Hank Haney, like those are more of the guys I would consider like great golf coaches. So Matt Killen being his putting coach, I don't put any weight into that.
Okay.
That's actually
what's Chill's ownership? Sorry.
Well, talking about Chris Farrier real quick, and not to go off the rails too much, but like he says, how slow is Tiger going to putt? Not the one thing for these greens, what we started looking at, and I'll give a shout out. His name is Scott Fawcett on Twitter. He's basically a golf instructor, but he does a lot of data analysis. And he was talking through Tiger's woes with his short putts, and they really haven't been that far off of what he's done back in the mid 2000s when he was winning every week. But then he looked at his distance control, and his average like remaining putt was like 3.6 feet, which basically means his distance control is really, really bad. So it'd be interesting to see how these greens shape out if they're a little bit slower, like softer and slower. I'm not sure if that helps or hurts them, but that's certainly something I've heard people talk about with Tiger's putting is keep an eye on the green speed. So
okay, interesting. A couple more that we got. Chill's ownership, Glover ownership.
I got you. Charles Howe, I think we already talked about 8.
Cantlay, 2.
Glover's at 17%. That's
really?
interesting.
Wow. Is that where all of the low 7K ownership is going?
And the nah, I'll just leave it at that. He's not in my player pool. I wasn't going to talk about his wife.
Probably best.
Yeah, pass on Glover. I'm not playing Glover, man. He's
Cantlay
been playing well, but he's been gaining a bunch of strokes putting, not chasing that. Cantlay. Cantlay. 15%.
Okay, that's higher than I think a lot of people were expecting it to be.
For Cantlay?
Yeah.
I think it's lower, man.
Well, I've heard a decent amount of people say that he's in the in-between Moley and Fleetwood, and with both of their recent form and him not playing, that he might go lower than that. I mean, that doesn't surprise me. I think that's a good number for him, actually.
Yeah, I'm playing Cantlay. He's probably one of my favorite high-end AK plays. And you got Fleetwood there. I probably like him over Fleetwood. Maybe slightly over Molinari. Molinari is tough, though. I would have to lean Moley over Cantlay, but Cantlay is up there. If you don't remember, Cantlay, I think, shot 66 first round last year, too. So he likes this golf course.
Yeah.
Sometimes you look at those scores relative to, like, just the finish. Sometimes seeing a good score is better. I was going to look at some of these guys. Like, just looking through here as far as, like, course history, like, Xander only has 4 rounds, so it's tough to tell on him. But most of these guys, like, Rafa has the best out of the guys that I really want to play. So I would be leaning him over a guy like Lucas Glover. You
playing some Rafa?
Absolutely. Who else we got in here? We'll hit it for
we got Furyk,
and we'll do some.
M, and Finau.
Finau, there we go. Did we already look him up?
I don't think we looked him up. We talked about what he might be.
Oh, he's at 9.8. The Rom.
What about M?
Yeah, Rom does blow up, but man, he's still. I mean, Terrell Hatton blows up. Tiger can be pissed off. Bryson can be pissed off. Rom's a different level. I understand that. He could go from shooting. What was it the British Open last year? He was like 4 under and then ended up like missing the cut.
He shot 80 or something, didn't he?
Yeah, but he was like, I think he was like 1 or 2 under that second round, and then shot 80. He went from 1 or 2 under to shooting 80. Who's the other couple?
Furyk, M, and Stenson.
Furyk at 4. Stinson at 12. M at 8.7. Love it. Actually, an interesting if you don't have to stay in the low end. They're actually really similar though, so it's not an easy pivot. Ben On's at 10, 10.5, and then Sung Jae at what did I say, 8, 9, something like that.
Sandberg Square asking Poulter or RCB.
If you had to pick one out of them, I would go RCB. I'll check the ownership though, because like, not to harp on ownership. Again, you try to play the best plays, but in that situation, I think one of those is going to draw more. Wow.
What?
I mean, they're both really high. Ian's at 23 right now.
23?
Nick, it's hashtag. It's a hashtag. We're spreading a hashtag play good players.
Okay. Get it right, Nick.
Got it. Hash. That's the keyword, guys. You're going to play God's players. So any last minute questions, and we'll kind of roll it into some giveaways, answer last minute questions, and take it from there. I mean, overall, I'm about to sit down as soon as we come off the stream and finish wrapping up my main lineups, and then just depending on where my pool's at, if I skip over guys in my main that I really want to play, like I see upside, that's when I'll start rolling out the GPP, and I'll basically make some groups in an optimizer and go from there. But it's a really good, it's a good event. It's just super strong. If you guys have felt lost this week, there's really not a lot of correlation with any lead-in stats. It's just trying to pick the best players and correlate a lineup the best you can and be a little different. So how much would you feel leaving on the table in GPP lineup? If it's a deep GPP, man, I could see leaving like $4,000 and not feel bad about my lineup. In the few that I've made, say maybe 2.5. We'll say 2,500. I wouldn't think it's crazy. Yeah, you could go try to save 4K on a lineup, man. It's not bad. It's not ugly. And again, if you look at any prior results, you don't want to say cream of the crop because everyone here is the cream of the crop, but like you're not going to get the 10K guy and above winning this every single year. It's always going to be from anywhere. Saw Webb last year. I don't know what he was priced at. 7K, upper sevens probably. So
yeah, he was 74.
74 last year. So that's why I think under 8K guy wins it again.
Stinson, 78.
Mindy Mark.
You want to do some giveaways?
Yeah, we can do giveaways. Leave 4K on the table, Mindy Mark. You'll win all the monies. Just do it. All right, let's move over. Keep an eye on that real quick. And again, guys, I know we talked about Fantasy Jesus and Golf Gurus, but their betting card is posted on the website, so you can go on there. It's 100% free. Their betting card is not going behind the paywall. They're just moving everything to Fantasy Golf Bag as the partnership, but you can still find their betting card on the website. And they have head-to-heads. They even have the Kenyan plays up. Magical Kenya Open. So go check that out. Spin wheel giveaway. Let's hope the spin wheel actually works. Stupid thing.
What are we giving away today, Drew?
We got to spin the wheel if it pops up. No Ryan Palmer. He actually has decent course history, to be honest. Let me hop out of this and come back. I'm not giving away your hat. Work cut. We might not have a giveaway, man. The freaking wheel doesn't even show up.
We can build the anticipation for next week.
We don't even have to do a wheel. F it. All right, guys. We'll do 2 giveaways.
All right.
The keyword for this one. Oh, the wheel's back. Let's see if it spins. Whoa. It worked. Doozy's having a rough time.
You just got to go slide to slide real fast, and then it'll work.
It's weird, dude. It's happened a couple times like that. All right, FGB T-shirt. We have 3 different colors now, thanks to Chris Ferreter. I saw him in the chat. This keyword is going to be... oh, shoot. Real easy. Sawgrass.
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 You getting on me last week for cliche words.
You had stupid words. These are good words.
I said API, and you were like, oh.
Well, that's 3 letters, dude. It's not even a word. Sawgrass, FGB t-shirt. Let's see who wins this guy. Whoa. All right, guys. 5 seconds, and I'll roll it, and we'll do another one. Smoke grass, sawgrass. 3, 2, 1. Horse player, 1975. Did you already win one? I feel like everyone's won one now. All right, last one. We'll get you guys out of here. Go build some lineups. And again, check out the Twitch live stream tomorrow morning for us to recap this ownership and all the stuff we talked about. FGB hat. Jay Blaze, you need a hat? All right, here we go. The hat is going to go to someone that enters the keyword. Oh boy. Shoot. Keyword is going to be good players. One word. Man Rocket. That would have been a good one. Good players. That's it. It's actually harder to type that than you think. Man Rocket. I mean, Man Rocket could win. I had a question for the chat. Oh, yeah. All right, we'll run through this. If you guys have a take on Woodland, though, I'm curious to see what it is. If you guys want to put, like, yes, no in there, I want to see if, like, the consensus is yes or the consensus is no. I feel like he's still, like, J.K. Ray's playing Woodland. Nice. All right. Oh, the bad juju's already here. Yes. Wow. All right, I'm going to roll it. You guys can keep putting yes for Woodland's.
When I think of Woodland, I think of the wind getting up and him hitting those stingers just on repeat. Sign me up for that.
He's never done.
Even if he misses the cut, I'll see him. I'll see a stinger.
He's never done in the past. I'm gonna throw it to the Q&A slide just so I can read this crap, and then we can get you out of here. Nick, are you playing? You playing Woodland? You see him?
Yes, he is.
Yeah, I see that. Yeah. You didn't do so hot. All right, we'll leave it there, guys. Jacob, any final thoughts, man, before we get out of here? Augusta, congrats on the hat, by the way.
No, nothing that comes to mind right away. I think we touched on some good stuff. I think you can go a lot of different ways with lineup construction. I think you can easily differentiate yourself, whether that is some low-owned guys or leaving some money on the table. And not a really huge advantage as far as weather goes. So hashtag play good players. Let's win some money.
Hashtag play good players. I think my one and done is actually going to be a. I'm torn real quick before we get out of here. It's currently between Xander and Cantley, to be honest. Tempted to play Paul Casey, but I always want to wait for him till he goes to Valspar. Voice crack. All right, we'll get out of here. Let's. Good luck this week, guys. Thanks for tuning into the Fantasy Golf Bag live stream. Check us tomorrow morning. I'll send a notification when I go live, but we'll watch some PGA Tour live coverage. We'll talk through some ownerships and see where they vary between the GPPs up to the high dollar. It's really interesting to see where the sharp people go versus where the general public go. And again, check out the website. Betting card and all the premium content is up on the website. And we'll be back next week for the Fantasy Golf Bag podcast with Fantasy Jesus. And again, Jacob will be back here Wednesday night for the live stream. So appreciate it, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in to the show. Good luck this weekend. Have some fun at the Players Championship. We'll see you later.
Later, guys.